for our Navaratri Golu, we are taking you on a journey through Purushottama Kshetram, or the land of Puri Jagannath. After the Mahabharata war ended, Gandhari held Krishna responsible for the death of her sons, the Kauravas, and she curses him, saying his Yadukulam will also perish in a similar manner. 36 years after the war, her curse comes true and all the Yadavas end up killing each other. And when Krishna was resting under a tree, a hunter called Jara came and shot his foot with an arrow. When he comes closer and realizes what he's done, he apologizes to Krishna and begs for forgiveness, which is when Krishna reveals to him that this was a part of destiny and it was meant to happen, and the time for Krishna Avataram has come to an end. He also reveals that during the Treta Yugam, when the Ramayana took place and Krishna was Rama, Jara was actually Vali. So since Rama hid behind a tree and killed Vali, Vali was reborn as Jara and killed Krishna in a similar manner as Prayashchitam. After Krishna passes away, his Sakha or his close friend Arjuna, who's one of the Pandavas, performs his last rites. Krishna's entire mortal body is consumed by the fire except for his heart, which stays back as a glowing blue jewel. Arjuna hears a divine voice from the heavens telling him to cast this heart out into the ocean. All this happens in a place called Mukti Dwaraka, which is in present day Gujarat on the west coast of India. Meanwhile, thousands of years later, on the east coast, Raja Indradyumna was the king of Puri in Odisha. He was a very just king, and his kingdom was very prosperous and his subjects were very happy, but he had an unfulfilled desire of wanting to build a grand temple for Mahavishnu. He hears a rumor that there was a very beautiful idol called Neel Madhav, which is hidden deep in the forests, and he wishes to acquire this idol and build a temple for it. He sends all his ministers and soldiers on a quest to locate this idol. One of his ministers, Vidyapati, goes deep into the jungles of Odisha and comes across a tribal village of people called the Sabara tribe. The chief of this tribe was a man called Vishwavasu who had a daughter, Lalita. Vidyapati hears some rumors that this tribe is aware about the location of the Neel Madhav idol, but no matter how much he asks them, they are very secretive about it. But they invite him to take rest and stay with them for a few days, and during this period Vidyapati falls in love with the tribal princess Lalita and they get married. After the wedding, Vidyapati notices that his father-in-law would disappear into the forest every single day for a few hours. He goes and asks Lalita where her father disappears, which is when Lalita reveals that the location of the Neel Madhav idol has been a closely guarded secret within their tribe that has been passed down several generations, and her father goes to the forest to worship this idol every single day. Hearing this, Vidyapati becomes very excited and he requests his father-in-law to show him the idol as well. Initially, Vishwavasu is a little reluctant because he feels that the secret belongs to their community and is not meant to be shared with the rest of the world. But Lalita argues with her father, saying that since she married Vidyapati, he also is a part of the family and he deserves to see this idol. Vishwavasu agrees on the condition that he will take Vidyapati blindfolded. So on the way, Vidyapati sprinkles some mustard seeds and he reaches the cave and is allowed to see the idol for a few seconds, after which he is immediately blindfolded and brought back. He waits patiently for a few months until it rains and the seasons change, and by then there is a clear path of yellow mustard flowers leading him to the cave. So once he confirms the location of the cave and the idol, he takes his wife Lalita and rushes back to Puri to inform Raja Indradyumna that he has discovered the Neel Madhav idol. The king is very excited and he goes back to that place with his whole army, only to discover that the whole cave, the idol and that entire place has vanished, leaving behind a desert. The Raja is very angry and he blames Vishwavasu, thinking that the tribe does not want to share their idol and they have hidden it. So he arrests Vishwavasu and brings him back to Puri and imprisons him. That night, the king goes to bed very upset and dejected, and Mahavishnu appears to him in a dream and tells him that the Neel Madhav idol is not meant for everybody's eyes, but since he wishes to build a temple, he will appear to him in the form of a floating log of neem wood, or a Daru Brahma, which will bear the divine symbols of his Sangha, Chakram, Gadai and Pushpam, and it will also radiate a very divine glow. So it is said that the heart of Krishna had actually been embedded within this log. The next morning, when the Raja goes to the seashore, he sees this log floating in the ocean, and he immediately tries to pull it out of the water. But no matter how hard he tries, he is unable to budge it. He calls his entire army and brings thousands of horses and elephants, but nobody is able to pull it out of the water. Finally, he prays to Mahavishnu once again, who tells him that Vishwavasu and his ancestors had been worshipping the Nilmadhav idol for so many years and so many generations. So, since the Raja disrespected such an honorable man, until he begs for forgiveness and apologizes, he will be unworthy of moving this log. The Raja realizes his mistake and brings Vishwavasu out of the prison and apologizes to him, after which he is forgiven, and together the two of them are able to pull the log out of the water. Once this is done, the log is transported to the palace, where Raja Indradyumna and Rani Gundicha invite all the sculptors and artisans in the land to come and create this idol. Initially, no matter who tries, they are not able to make even a single scratch or dent in this piece of wood. Finally, an old man approaches the palace and he promises the king and queen that he will be able to sculpt this idol. But he puts forth a condition saying he wants a secluded room for 21 days where he should be left undisturbed, and under no circumstance should anyone open the door. The king and queen agree to his demands and they give him a room which is locked, after which they start to hear the sounds of construction coming from within. On the 12th day, though, it becomes very silent, and Rani Gundicha gets very worried, thinking they have not given the sculptor anything to eat or drink, so he might be starving, or he might have probably injured himself while sculpting this idol. So out of concern, she opens the door, and as soon as she goes inside, the sculptor vanishes, leaving behind these incomplete idols. The Raja is very disheartened and he prays to Mahavishnu, who tells him that it was his divine will that he remain in this form, because his Vishwarubam, or his entire divine essence, is so powerful and so large that it cannot be encapsulated within a single idol or a statue or even a mortal body. And also, it is not your physical appearance that matters, it is your heart or your soul that is within you that matters the most, and his own heart has been embedded within these idols. Hearing this, the Raja is very happy, and Mahavishnu also reveals that the sculptor was none other than Vishwakarma, the divine architect of the gods. So the Raja installs these idols and builds the grand temple of Puri Jagannath. The unique feature in this temple is, usually in temples we find deities either alone or with their spouse, but here he is found with his siblings. So the main deities are Jagannath, who is Krishna, along with his older brother Balabhadra, or Balarama as we know him, and their younger sister Subhadra. The reason behind this is, in Odia culture, sibling bonds are considered to be the most important type of familial bonds, and it is also a nod to his tribal origins, because even in tribal communities, they consider sibling relationships to be very divine. Another reason is that Balabhadra, who is white in color, represents Balam or strength. Subhadra, whose yellow color, represents Shakti or compassion, while Jagannath, who's black in color, represents the entire universe. And together, the three of them represent the cosmic forces of body, energy, and spirit. On Jagannath's left, we have the Sudarshana, which is his Sudarshana Chakram in the form of a pillar. Then there are some very mysterious features in this temple. On top of the Gopuram, there is a Sudarshana Chakram, which if viewed from any direction in Puri, it will appear as though it is facing you. And also this Chakram has such a strong magnetic force that the airspace above the Puri temple is a no-fly zone. On top of this Chakram, there is a flag, and this flag has to be changed every single day. So a person scales the Gopuram barefoot without any rope or harness and performs the ritual of changing the flag. And the mysterious feature here is that this flag always flies in the direction opposite to the wind. No one knows or can explain how this marvel occurs. Another mystery here is the preparation of the Mahaprasad. So the Puri temple prasadam, or the Mahaprasad, is known to be one of the most elaborate prasadams that is offered in any temple, since they prepare 56 varieties every single day. It is called the Chappan Bhog. And this Mahaprasad is prepared in earthen pots that are stacked one over the other on top of a veragadupu or a chulha. And the mystery here is that the food in the topmost pot gets cooked before the pots below it. This defies all science and logic, and no one can explain why this occurs. But it is said that goddess Mahalakshmi herself oversees the preparation of this prasadam, and it is by her divine grace that this miracle occurs. Another miracle is that no matter how many people visit this temple, be it hundreds or thousands or even lakhs of people, they never run out of prasadam, and at the end of the day, there is no food wastage as well. The preparation of this prasadam is so accurate. Once this prasadam is prepared, it is offered to the main deities, after which it is taken to the Bimala Devi Sannidhi. So, Bimala Devi is a form of goddess Durga or Shakti, and it is one of the Shakti Peetams. This is where goddess Sati's feet are said to have fallen. Once the prasadam is offered to Bimala Devi, it imbibes her Shakti and it gets the status of Mahaprasad, after which it is distributed amongst all the visitors. A very important ritual in this temple is the Navakala. So since these idols are made of wood, they have to be replaced every 12 years. The trees that are used to carve these new idols are usually found by Daitapatis or tribal priests who are descendants of Vishwavasu, and they get divine dreams and visions as to where to find these trees that will be used to carve the new idols. So these trees have some very specific features or characteristics. For example, Jagannath's tree will have 4 branches like Mahavishnu's 4 hands, and it will also bear the symbols of a Sangha Chakram. Balabhadra's tree will have 5 branches and resemble the head of a cobra, since Balabhadra is an avataram of Adiseshan, and it will bear the symbol of a plow, while Subhadra's tree will bear the symbol of a lotus. Once the new idols are carved, they perform the ritual of transferring the Brahma Padharth or the heart of Krishna from the older idol to the new idol. And the heart of Krishna is such a powerful and divine essence that it is impossible to view it with your naked eyes or touch it with your bare hands. So the priests who perform this ritual are blindfolded and their hands are wrapped. And this takes place in the middle of the night in a dark room. And during this ritual, the entire city of Puri is blacked out. Once this is done, the older idols are taken to a place called Koili Baikunta within the complex, where they are given funeral rites. So this shows that the Jagannath idol is considered to be a living, breathing idol that undergoes a circle of life, death and rebirth. If you go close to the idol, you can hear a hum or vibration as if a real heart is beating within it. Then the most important festival in this temple is the Rath Yatra. Before the Rath Yatra, they are taken for their Snan Yatra to a place called the Snan Mandapam, where they are given a bath using 108 pots of cold water. Once they take a bath, it is said that they develop cold and fever and fall sick for a period of 2 weeks. During this time, they are cared for by the Daitapatis or tribal priests, and the Mahaprasad, which usually consists of very rich, heavy food prepared in a lot of ghee, changes to very simple, easy to digest food or patya sapadu that you eat when you're sick. Once they recover, they are ready to go on their trip, which is their Rath Yatra. So this is very similar to the modern concept of observing a quarantine before going on a trip. The Rath Yatra procession takes the main deities from the Puri Jagannath temple to the Gundicha Devi temple. So Gundicha Devi was the queen of Raja Indradyumna, and since she was such an ardent devotee of Jagannath, he started considering her his own aunt. So locally the temple is known as Masi Ma Mandir, and Masi means aunt or chitti in Tamil. And since the deities go and stay in their aunt's house for 9 days, the Rath Yatra procession takes place. So before the procession moves, the Raja of Odisha or the Gajapati himself performs the ritual of sweeping the chariots and the pathway in front of the chariots with a golden broom. This is because in Odisha, it is considered that Jagannath is the supreme ruler of the land, while the mortal king is just a mere representative and a humble servant of the Lord. So even today, a person from the royal lineage is the one who performs this ritual of sweeping the chariots and the path in front of it with a golden broom. So after this procession takes the deities to the Gundicha Devi temple, on the 5th day, which is known as Hera Panchami, goddess Mahalakshmi visits Jagannath and is very upset with him and complains to him saying that he went on a trip with his brother and sister and left her behind. After she gets angry and she breaks the wheels of Jagannath's chariot and goes away from the temple. On the 10th day, once the procession returns, The main deities of Balabhadra and Subhadra are taken back to the Garbhagriha, while Jagannath is taken to the Mahalakshmi Sannidhi, where he pacifies her by offering her a lot of gifts. She's still very upset until Jagannath gives her a pot of rasgullas, after which she forgives him. Then we have another very cute folk tale from Odisha. Once, when Jagannath and Balabhadra were having an argument like typical siblings, their sibling banter ended up offending Mahalakshmi, and she got upset and she left the temple and went and took refuge in a Chandal's house. So, Chandals are people who work on cremation grounds. Meanwhile, since Lakshmi is the goddess of food and wealth, as soon as Lakshmi disappeared, all the food and all the wealth in the temple disappeared, including the clothes and jewelry that Jagannath and Balabhadra were wearing. The next day, they keep waiting for their meal, but nobody brings them anything to eat. They are used to being so well fed because the Chappan Bhog is so elaborate that by the time they finish one meal, it is time for their next meal. But the next day, they are left starving. They go to the kitchen and are shocked to find that all the granaries are empty and all the food has vanished and all the pots and patrams have been broken. So they go out and roam around looking for food. First, someone comes and offers them some puri or puffed rice. Just as they are about to eat it, the wind blows and it flies away. Then someone offers them some sweet. As soon as they try to eat it, it rains and all the sweet dissolves. Then they spot a pond and decide to go and drink some water. As soon as they come near it, all the water dries up. Then they see a tree and decide to climb it and at least eat some leaves. But as soon as they climb the tree, all the leaves wither and fall off. So this shows that disrespecting Mahalakshmi is equivalent to disrespecting food itself. Finally, someone points them in the direction of a house and tells them that if they go there, the host will definitely feed them something and never lets anyone go on an empty stomach. They go there to realize that it is this Chandal's house. Initially, Balabhadra is a little uncomfortable to eat the food prepared by a lower caste person. So he requests her to take him to the kitchen and says that he will prepare his own meal. He instructs Jagannath to light the Veragadippu and he says that he will come back and cook the meal. Jagannath keeps trying to light the stove, but no matter how hard he tries, all the sticks break and the entire room gets filled with smoke, but he's unable to even perform the simple task of lighting a fire. Finally, Balabhadra comes back and scolds him, saying, I gave you such a simple job, you couldn't even do this. So Jagannath tells Balabhadra, okay, go ahead, you try yourself. So Balabhadra also tries to light the stove, but he is also unsuccessful. Finally, in sheer starvation, they are not able to control their hunger anymore, so they sit down to eat. Their hostess starts bringing them the items one by one. First, she serves rice and goes in to bring the dal. By the time she comes back, they have eaten plain rice. Then she serves them dal and goes in to bring the sabji. By the time she serves that, they finish eating the plain dal. They are so hungry and so desperate that they are not even able to wait for all the items to arrive. They have a hearty, fulfilling meal and they find the taste very familiar and very delicious. But since they are so hungry, they don't pay too much attention to it. Finally, their hostess brings them a plate of sweets called Podo Pitha, which is a popular Odia delicacy and a favorite of Lord Jagannath's. And as soon as he eats one bite of the sweet, he realizes that nobody can make the sweet as well as his own wife Mahalakshmi herself. So they go into the kitchen only to realize that goddess Mahalakshmi herself has prepared this entire meal for them. They realize their mistake and they apologize to her and she forgives them and they all come back to the temple. And during this period, since the Chandal took such good care of Mahalakshmi and was so devoted to her, her small hut ends up becoming a large mansion after Mahalakshmi blesses her with immense good wealth and good fortune. Finally, we have some small folk tales from Odisha. So once there was a farmer. During a period of severe drought and famine, his entire field dried up and all his crops withered. He offered whatever little bit he had to Jagannath, and the next day a small boy came and plowed his fields, and there was so much abundance of rainfall and his entire produce was bountiful. So he realizes that that boy was none other than Jagannath. Then we have the story of a milkmaid. So she used to get milk and prepare items such as curd and nehi and go and sell it in the marketplace every day. But one day her produce fell a little short, so she was very worried. She kept thinking how she would make ends meet and how she would earn enough money to support her family that day, when a little boy approaches her and asks her to give him some curd. Despite having very little herself, she gives it away to the boy. Then, when she reaches the marketplace, she opens all her pots and is shocked to find them all filled to the brim. So she realizes that that little boy was none other than Jagannath himself. Then we have the story of a weaver. So, before they used to dress all the idols in very rich, luxurious silk cloths. But once a very poor weaver came and offered some plain, simple cloth that he had woven himself. The priests mock him, saying they only dress the idols in pattu vastrangal or silk cloth, and they can't put such plain, simple cloth on the idols. Then they keep trying to put the silk cloth, but no matter how hard they try, it keeps slipping and falling off. Finally, they decide to use the cloth that the weaver brought, and as soon as they put it on the idol, it stays on the idol. Then everybody realizes that Lord Jagannath does not care about materialistic pleasures, and anything that is offered to him with pure devotion and love, he will accept wholeheartedly. Finally, we have the story of Salabega. So Salabega was the son of a Mughal soldier and a Hindu woman, and despite being an ardent devotee of Jagannath, he used to be denied entry into the temple due to his mixed parentage. One day he develops very high fever, and his mother tells him to pray to Jagannath who will cure him. So Salabega sits down on the road and composes hundreds of poems and songs in praise of Lord Jagannatha. And when the Rath Yatra procession takes place, the Ratham stops in front of him and Salabega gets cured of his fever miraculously. So even today during the Rath Yatra procession, the chariots always stop for a few minutes in front of Salabega's resting place, and the songs and poems that he composed are still sung in praise of Lord Jagannatha, and the clothes that are used to adorn these idols are still provided by local weavers and artisans. All these instances together prove that Lord Jagannath does not judge people based on their physical appearance, since he himself is an incomplete form, and he also does not discriminate between people based on social barriers such as caste, creed and religion, and he accepts pure love and devotion from anyone, and this is why he is known as Jagatkanatha Jagannath. Jai Jagannath. I hope you enjoyed our story, and meanwhile this is the rest of our Golu.